Hello, beautiful people. Welcome or welcome back to my Body and Heart Tower Therapy. I'm here to do another pick a card reading that will answer the question once again: what do I need to hear right now? What message do I need to hear in order to help me process my current experience? And of course, we're going to look into the past a little bit, into future energy, but it's more focused on helping you process your overall experience. So these are the three piles, the three objects. There's a egg, a crystal egg. There's this, it's actually a wooden piece from a tree. I don't know what to call them. And this is a rose quartz. So take some time, feel into it, see which object calls you in. Feel free to pause the video for a little bit if you need to do so, and you'll find the timestamps below. So, see you in a moment. Hello, pie number one, the ones that chose this beautiful egg. I think they're called yoni eggs. I personally never use it in that way, but I do hear that people do. Anyhow, this is your reading. So first I'm going to pull out tarot cards and we're going to look at what's happening in the recent past, then what's going on in your present energy, in your current energy, and then looking at what your challenge is, and then asking for some advice and looking at outcome energy. So let's see what's happening in the current past, recent past for pile number one. So we have strength and the Five of Cups as recent past. All right, now let's see what is the current energy. Where do you find yourself right now? Okay, we have the Seven of Wands. Now we look at what is your current challenge. Knight of Pentacles. All right. What is the advice for pile one? What is the advice for pile one? What would help right now? Five of Pentacles. It's an interesting one as advice. And let's see future energy. Five of Wands together with Eight of Cups. These two also came together. I'm just gonna put it like this to remember. All right, and bottom of the deck, let's see what is the energy. The Three of Cups. So this is the underlying energy. This is kind of giving me an idea of your overall process, right? What's really going on. My take on this is that you're finding yourself in a time where you're really working on your connections, and connections of all kinds, friendships, but I think it's more connected to your support group. So I would look more into friendships actually. And it's also another layer of this is a process of emotional integration, and maybe this is why you need a support group, because you need to share about your experience, you need to mirror, you need to reflect with other people, you need to be listened to and to listen to other people's experiences as well, because we grow from that. You know, if we are constantly focused only on oneself and our own individual experience, we kind of miss out on other takes and experiences. And of course, time for alone, reflecting alone is very valuable and very important. But it's also very important to interact with others so that we notice also what triggers us, what feels comfortable to share, what doesn't feel comfortable to share, and to benefit from this feeling of support and caring for each other. Before I will go into the reading, I would like to pull out some oracle cards. So this is the archetype deck. Let's see what archetype comes through. What archetype shows up for pile number 1, and is the healer. All right. Yeah, I see you going through a healing process of sorts here. And you may want to access your own healing energies, or you may want to work with people that can help you, support you on your healing process. I think they are both very valid and quite likely to take place in this period. And I'm going to pull out a spirit card for you and see what spirit works with you right now. What message do you have from this spirit guide? You have the toad. Toad. I'm gonna read that for you later. And then let's see the last oracle card. This is from the Rumi Oracle. Message from the Divine Beloved. And you have the message to arise. All right. I will take the toad also as my take on, my personal take on it, not just what the deck says. And to my knowledge, the toad talks about cleansing, actually. So we may go through a period of really doing some physical or psychological, emotional cleansing, maybe even social media cleansing, or just checking in what you take in and how that affects you. All right, so recent past, you have Strength and the 5 of Cups here. So you've been through a loss. You've been through a loss of sorts that forced you to incorporate new aspects of yourself. And maybe you had to face maybe the part of you that is wild, that can go into crazy tantrums. Of course, when we lose something that we really care about, we can experience a wide range of emotions, from grief, loss, feeling sorry for ourselves, feeling angry with ourselves because we've done or not done something, feeling angry at maybe the other person, if it is a relationship that was lost here, or at the circumstances, or at the system, or everything can bring a very intense emotional experience here. And yes, you have also most likely discovered inner strength, inner resources that maybe you weren't able to access before, or you weren't even aware they exist. And it is a little bit sad that we have to go through really challenging situations to truly realize our own strength and power. But if it's not challenged, then we wouldn't know, If, I don't know, a simple example comes in the past, like why warriors had to exist. Well, if there weren't any attacks, if there weren't any conflicts and challenges from different tribes, different countries, different whatever, then warriors wouldn't exist. They wouldn't know train in this direction, because there wouldn't be a need for it. And yeah, these are the ways of life, and there is, as I said, a loss that feels really heavy. It feels really heavy. Not everything is lost, though. There are 2 cups that are still standing here, and it is important to go through this total recognition of this loss, and through the grieving process, all stages of it, the anger, the sadness, well, actually first I think is denial, and feeling it all, and claim back the parts of yourself that maybe sometimes had to be suppressed. Like maybe if, for example, this is a relationship, many times we have to suppress aspects of ourselves within that relationships because we, I don't know, for keeping the peace, or for not having a good enough balance within give and take, or even sexually, like strength can usually connect to a lot of very primal energy, like sexual energy as well. And maybe there was a imbalance there in the sexuality as well, if it's a relationship. If it's not a relationship, whatever, it's been lost, let's say. Again, can be anything that brings you, or this deep feeling of loss. Can be a loss of a dear one. That doesn't need to be your partner, can be the loss of job or a particular lifestyle. It can translate into so many scenarios, right? And yeah, as I said, like many times we need to suppress some of our more darker aspects to go through this process. And with the strength here, it tells me that kindness is needed, and acceptance is needed, to look at what feels the way it feels, however dark it feels, and give it this. Look at this lady, how gentle and kind she is with this very ferocious lion. Like if she were to approach this lion with shoulds and shouldn'ts, with trying to control it or dominate it, she wouldn't be able to, right? Because the lion is way, way more powerful than her. She would be completely burnt, or more literally eaten up. But she comes with this connection of with this kindness, innocence, knowledge, and compassion, and this is what tames the beast, right? So this is the recent past. This has happened already. You have been forced to tame the beast. Maybe you have been going through this grieving process, and you currently find yourself in the energy of the 7 of Wands. 7 of Wands is standing your ground, putting boundaries, standing for what you believe in. And after such a loss, of course, you've been challenged in so many ways, and maybe some of your beliefs have changed as well, and you find yourself in a time where you really assess maybe what is still worth for you, what really makes you tick right now. This had definitely changed you. You discovered things about yourself you didn't know, good and bad, of course. Maybe sometimes we think we've gone through a healing circle, and then something happens and parts of ourselves that maybe we thought we dealt with show up again in a different or exactly the same manner, and we have the feeling we haven't done any progress, or that we're regressing, or so on and so forth. So a lot can be learned for such an experience, but as I said, also a lot of hidden resources and capacity to grow and transform through these experiences. You're definitely taking in what works for you, what doesn't, what you need right now. And you may be challenged to have to state that directly, to when people want something from you, to learn to say no when no it's in your mind, or to clarify certain things. This is a lot about beliefs and about your again, what energizes you, what feels good to you. And it's also spiritual energy. So it may be that, for example, your spiritual beliefs are being challenged in some way. 7, it's a challenging energy. It's the challenges that come into our life that need to be overcome. So that's next stage of spiritual, let's say, development, growth. Let's say growth. The next level of growth can take root and can take place. So yeah. If, for example, you've lost your work, or you've been through a burnout, or you've lost the passion for your career, or you've lost, again, a relationship, you may have to, again, assess, okay, does this still work for me? Do I want to take another job in this career? Maybe yes. Then, okay, I will need different boundaries. I will need to stand up for myself earlier. I need to have better, I don't know, time boundaries, or not take up tasks that are not into my job description. Or maybe I realize, I'm done with this career. I need to change and assess what really motivates me right now, and work with that. And when people may be inquiring, like, why on earth would you change your career at this point in time, or whatever, or why would you leave this relationship, or why would you anything, you are in a position of standing up for yourself and defend yourself and what you believe in, as long as it makes sense to you, you know. The thing is that this is really important, to not be just okay, I'm feeling a little bit challenged, triggered, so I'm just being reactive here. I think it's a really fruitful time for this assessment, because a real change happened within you already. It's just a good time for you to integrate it and incorporate that and reactualize yourself based on that inner change. You know, sometimes it can take time, and this is also what your challenge is, right? It can take time to put into practice or into the outer existence what already changed within. How maybe certain interactions simply don't work for me anymore. I've noticed that my nervous system really informs me that doesn't work. I may be more sensitive to this. Whatever happened in the past sensitized me in a certain way. Therefore, I will need to inform people around me that, okay, this type of interactions I can't do. Or, you know, in whichever way. The point is that with the King of the Knight of Pentacles here, you are having this very practical knowledge, where you're putting your time, your money, how you're spending your days, what are you eating, how are you moving, everything, absolutely everything that's on a very practical level. And you're sitting here at the top of the mountain here. This is also a bit of a top of a mountain. And you're asking yourself, okay, what to do with this now? Where to put it? I've been through all this suffering and pain. And now, like, my whole universe is somehow being changed. And what am I doing with this? Where can I put my energy in? What relationships do still make sense? What job does still make sense, you know? It's difficult to move forward slow enough to be mindful of our own needs, but also not getting completely stuck in the details and avoidant behavior out of fear of not getting hurt again. It's a process, of course, and it's, as I said, really challenging right now for you where to put this energy. Let's see, this is your advice. The Five of Pentacles as advice. It's an interesting one because generally, I think that the card speaks for itself. You see these two people here, they're really sad, they're really most likely poor. Yeah, it's winter, she doesn't have shoes, he's like injured, right? Like, yeah, damaged. And it's really a sad happening. It's a fact. It's not that you can't say that they're imagining this or it's in their heads. No, they are in this situation, and it doesn't matter why they got here. What it matters is that they need to find ways to help themselves. And here in the background you see the window of a church or cathedral or something like that, and they're not seeing it because they're overly focused only on the misery they find themselves in and the pain of it. And of course that's important to validate and to be present with, but it's also sometimes really important to look around ourselves in a mindful, practical way and see what are the resources available. Here, this card tells me that help is available for you somehow, maybe from this support group that you're building. Or maybe this is what you feel like. You feel incredibly lonely and isolated in this, and you need this support group. That this is the underlying energy. But maybe you're not looking in the right places. There can be many types of support. Like this, in this case, this is a sanctuary, right? If they go into the church, into the cathedral, they can receive food and, well, at least this is, I don't know if that's really happening in every church, most likely not, because otherwise all the homeless people will live there. But this is the symbolism of this card, that there is some type of help available that you're probably not seeing right now, or you're too proud to accept it. Not to say that you need to get over your boundaries or to get over your values in order to receive that help. Do not commit yourself to something that doesn't feel good, but sometimes pride can be misleading, you know. But this is why you are where you are in this moment of assessment. And it's really important to take your time with it. And also look at where you're feeling isolated, alone, abandoned, rejected. And this is a tough one because these things hurt like hell. And what's the worst is when we internalize that. When we internalize it in our belief system that if I'm being rejected, then there's something wrong with me. If I'm not being... if I'm not doing well financially, for example, then there's something wrong with me. I must be doing everything wrong. And not to say that there can't be sometimes bad choices, but it's not about that. It's not about judging myself that I've done something bad or I haven't chosen properly or so on and so forth. The point is like meet myself where I'm at right now and try to extend, as I said, compassion to these parts of ourselves that feel disconnected, that feel the way they feel, and to practice. It's really a practice of self-compassion, and open yourself to allowing these parts of yourself to feel nurtured and cared for and seen and accepted with their pain and struggles. Just not to deny them, not to put words into my mouth that I have nothing to complain about. I'm doing so much better than people in I don't know what countries or in I don't know what situations. No, we need to validate. You do feel in whatever fashion damaged. And it's like we need to remember that at the core there's nothing inherently wrong with us. Yes, the life experience can model a lot of beliefs and internalized beliefs about our worth, about our capacity to show up to challenges, our capacity to love again, to be lovable actually. And it's not easy to work with this, yet you are ready for it, otherwise this will not show up as your advice. Because if somebody rejected you, if the loss comes from a rejection of sort, maybe you were let go from a job or let go from a relationship, broken up with, or maybe you opened your heart to somebody that nothing started yet, but you tried and you've been rejected, or in whatever way or fashion you feel like the world rejects you for whatever reason. The question is, do you take that belief internally into yourself, and do you tell yourself the self-story? I do not worth it. I'm not good enough for the world, for anything. And if you do, there's nothing wrong with it. It's kind of natural. We will do it. The point is to realize it and to readdress that. Heal that part of yourself that had been rejected. We're going to get to this because this is going to talk a bit about that. This also makes me think about healing. Anyhow, I'm going to read this in a moment. The future energy. Well, you see, the Five of Wands is some kids playing. And it looks like they're fighting, but they're just using sticks. It could be like a training, or it could be like, a fight that's not really warranting any real danger. It's more like showing what you're made of, or rising up to challenges. So I think that, through this process, through this, what you're going through right now is gonna lead to you being able to once again stand up for yourself. You're learning what is worth to stand up for. You're arranging your and understanding your inner resources and what is worth fighting for, and then you can do that fight. You can really show up for yourself in the way you need to, and fight when you need to fight, and leave what you need to leave. The Eight of Cups is about having a voluntary moving on, a retreat or something. Once you have, you recognize that you had a certain emotional experience in a situation, maybe for a long time, because there's many cups here. It doesn't necessarily mean that it all has to be bad. Maybe it's been good and it's been bad, but it's the same in a relationship or in a job or in a career or in even friendships. Sometimes we realize that we outgrew that, or it doesn't help us anymore. It doesn't feel good to us to be in that type of constellation or situation, and we learn to move on rather than stay beyond our boundaries or our capacity, or when it starts turning against us. So yeah, these are very important skills that we all need, and we sometimes don't look at them with enough seriousness. Is that a word? Yeah. We don't take this seriously enough, that we need to be able to go through conflict too. It's not just about avoiding conflict in any situation. I personally, for example, really dread conflict, and I can see how rather than being a conflict, sometimes I prefer to just like disappear. But it's important to be able to navigate conflicts together within a working situation, a relationship, even within ourselves, you know, to be able to hold space for different for two different sides of ourselves in this context of the inner conflict. But we need to be able to navigate conflict, otherwise we will not be able to commit to anything ever, or to show up. And it's really important to know when to leave, when to move on. And remember, this is deeply connected to the way you relate to people, the way you relate to your friendships, your environment, it's constellations of all kinds. I don't see a particular preference for neither career or love, so it can be any type of constellations right now. Alrighty, I will go now through these oracle cards. So let's see what's the archetype guidebook telling us about the healer. It's number 25. So the healer is the light worker, the gifted, and the old soul. Though some claim the work of the healer as their gift and name it as their dharma, the force of this archetype is within everyone. That's why I was saying earlier that it's maybe you're accessing healing energy within yourself, or work with others that can support in your healing process. But this is a universal energy. It is our natural inclination to remember, to return to, and to reclaim. Interesting that it says remember, and it's I don't know if you can see it. It's actually remember, return to, and reclaim. You see, when I'm just thinking about this leg right now, it's a member, and when we feel rejected, when we feel really damaged, it's like a part of us is being cut off. It's like part of us is being rejected from within ourselves at some point, if we buy into that story. What we need is to remember to take that part that's been separated and attach it back to the whole, to return to and to reclaim that central and eternal life force from which we so easily drift away. I don't know if you see this. Yes, it is. Hope so. In Sanskrit, the word avidya means forgetting, and it is said that this is the source of all suffering, and this is disease. The healer's mission then becomes to move through the comfort of forgetting, through the veils of ignorance and denial, to reveal the radiance that already exists. The healer approaches this in multiple ways, from multiple angles, knowing the cycle of healing is not linear. I think I touched on that in the beginning of the reading, right? That it can feel like, okay, we've been through a cycle, we healed something, and then that can show up again in the next cycle, and woo, then aren't we disappointed with ourselves? But that's the thing, the healing is not linear. It will take a few cycles to go through certain aspects of the self and to reincorporate them and reclaim them. It is a multi-layered and circuitous process. Yeah, you got it. Always leading back to its own origin, much like the Ouroboros. I guess this is the Ouroboros, whatever, that snake with 3 heads. So when light, you feel self-contained, grateful, awake. And when dark, you feel tired, needy, and forgetting your own practice. Yeah. The image of the serpent is eternally tied to healing and medicine, both Western, suddenly there's all these words that I have difficulties with, the Kodoses, and Eastern Kundalini study, the serpent and its power. And the wounded healer is not someone who was wounded and is now healed. It is someone who continues to courageously break open the self and ego as a means for deep integration. So yeah, there's integration taking place. There is a healing process. I'm really curious about this toad right now. Where are you, toad? Here. So, the amphibious toad begins its life in the water as a tadpole and transforms to become a creature of land. This speaks deeply to the toad's connection to adaptability, regeneration, and of course transformation. These blessings have made the toad a symbol for fertility, wealth, and fortune in many cultures. However, its uncanny ability to camouflage itself, paired with the warty appearance, has earned the toad a reputation for being a familiar spirit of witches and a keeper of secrets. Do with that information whatever you will. But I am seeing into this again that for connection to adaptability and regeneration, and of course transformation, which is taking place here. So messages: it is time to play a game of hide and seek. Be a master of camouflage in your search for the truth, but don't stay in disguise for too long or you may lose your way. You've reached a crossroads that seems difficult, but you are capable of weathering the storm and choosing the right direction. See, this character, which is also your challenge, is sitting on on the rooftop, wondering what to do with this beautiful pentacle there, which is what you care for, your energy, your time, your everything. And then take a chance on something that may seem unlikely to you. Fortune will reveal itself to you. Take a chance, darling, take a chance. Okay, this is it for that. And now I will just summarize this because it's way too long. So the poem from Rumi says, "Arise. Wings of hope languish from lack of use. When wings dissipate and weaken, life begins to lose its value." That's why you're tasting again into what feels valuable to you. Every cell in your body is created to rise to challenges. Yes. See, this is the whole goal of this process. Your life is meant to confront everything that holds you captive. Don't sit at the bottom of the well, not caring about salvation. Listen to the voice within calling to you. Reach for eminence beyond your own maturity. Rumi. Okay, and geez, this is long. Let's see. Don't lose heart, beloved wild child. Dare to believe. You are right to do so. It is the divine rebel in you that refuses to surrender hope. Give up the fight, perhaps, the battle that comes from a place of fear, but never give up your hope. That hope in your heart, that optimism and patience for growth into love creates a light within you that helps the world see through darkness. It becomes a candle that shimmers contentedly upon the window's wheel in your heart temple. There is more obvious even in darkness. The stars do appear to shine brighter at night, beloved, but don't become consumed by your nightmares. They will pass, with the coming dawn, you'll see. Don't give them so much stock. Instead, put your attention towards that defiant candle of hope that burns, as it is its nature and purpose within you. Can you sense its warmth, even in the presence of cold fear? Ah, it shall warm you now. I'm really connecting it to this, which is your advice. Yes, you have plenty of reason to feel depressed and sad and beaten up. But it is now, exactly now, where your faith and that hope that this is, you're going to overcome this is very important. You are being asked to trust, to gently lay to rest the suffering that has been, perhaps because of what you have labeled as the failure, the doubt, the losses, and the setbacks. They are so little in the greater scheme of you. Put them aside, allow them to rot and become fertilizer for life, but do not try to keep them alive beyond their earthly expiry date, lest you become tainted or poisoned by the rot. Let them go and instead focus on what is alive now. Can you sense that before you is a great being of light, a greater pathway opening up? This is truth. This is truth. Take the step. So easy it is when the light of the heart is felt within, reminding you of your own divine nature. The world is here for you to experience so that you may realize divinity in its majesty, mystery, and love more so than ever. Find your faith, be at peace, know that no matter what appears to be, all is well. You are loved. It cannot even begin to be translated sufficiently into words, but it can be transmitted from my heart to yours, just as the sun catches dry tinder and sets it aflame. This oracle comes with a message for you. Arise. You have been downtrodden for long enough now. Perhaps you have been feeling defeated, put upon, underestimated, or walked over in mind, body, or spirit by others or your own doubts and fears. Enough now. You are liberated through the hope in your heart, the defiant optimism that buoys your spirit and demands that you shall have your dawn. You shall rise like the sun and begin anew now. Step up. It is your time. Whew. Wow. I have shivers on my back. I think it's really important to validate the fact that this is not easy. It sounds so, wow, yeah, enough, just get up. It's not easy. It's not easy to get up. It's not easy to not become overcome and overwhelmed by the grief. But there is a time to grieve. This is why, for example, in most religions or spiritual practices, there is a period for grief. You have just like, I don't know, I think in Christianity you have like 40 days, right, where you wear black and you're supposed to not dance and you're supposed to, I don't know, there's some rituals involved in there. And this is a time set aside for you to truly grieve what was lost, to process your experience and so on and so forth. But it is really important to not dwell in there forever. It is a time to let go and grow out of that experience. And unfortunately, yeah, there is help out there, but you won't be able to see it unless you first feel that candle of light within you, that you do have the strength, you do have the power, you do have the capacity to rise up to challenges yet again, and you will. I think this is a very positive message altogether. You will be able to do it. All right, pile number 1. I think this is the message for you. It's a really long one. I did not expect that. You had a lot of cards. So, yeah, I hope this message helped you in whatever way to understand and process your experience and to hopefully give you that flicker of hope that you need right now. So, please like, share, subscribe, comment in whatever way you feel called to. And yeah, I hope to see you here soon. Take care. Hello, pile number 2. Welcome to your reading. Those of you that chose this wooden piece. It's an interesting story with this one. I was in Thailand in a monastery, in a Buddhist temple. And I was doing I think it was my second meditation retreat, like silent meditation retreat, but this one was in a Buddhist temple. The first one was in a mindfulness center where I had more guidance, more connected to this like Western mind. And this one was a bit atypical. That's not what you usually find there, but it was giving a lot of space for self. To go through the experience on oneself. Normally in a meditation retreat, for example, you have a an interview with the monks or with the ones that volunteer for the, like in Vipassana centers as well, daily interviews that they just check in with you to make sure you're not losing it or something, and to give you maybe guidance for your meditation practice. This in this retreat was 9 days and we only had like 2 interviews. And I was early in my meditation practice, so it was quite intense and challenging. And I think it was the 3rd day of the retreat. That's when traditionally everybody tends to go through some of the most challenging day. That's the 3rd day. And it was a very challenging day, and I really needed something to ground myself. And I found this stone and another one. Well, this is again the wooden piece, and I found one of those like river stones. And I was crying out loud. I was like, I wasn't ever actually able to cry with the rest of the people, and I wanted to be in silence. So I found, I don't know, a place somewhere there. It was a beautiful jungle-like place up in the mountains. There were elephants across the street and stuff. But I found a private place and I cried out loud, and I did a loving kindness meditation to myself and a compassion meditation that while holding this and the other stone in my hands, and that was very, very soothing. And since then I always go back to these two in this and I really feel soothed by that. I think that they were somehow charged by that energy. So it's a long story already to start with your reading, but maybe you are in that place where you really need a very, very focused and strong self-love, self-compassion practice, because to me it did wonders. I was really at the end of my wits back then in that moment, and I really wasn't sure where this is going to take me. And I was feeling so horrible. I reached that point in a meditation where I don't know, I just felt drowning in emotions that weren't making any sense anymore. There weren't even thoughts. There was just like raw and unsorted pain. And this really helped me, like holding these stones and feeling like, present with it, embodying it, and doing this meditation practice of love and kindness. And it didn't even have to be like very particularly structured. I did it as it came, but I stuck with it for about an hour. It felt like a lifesaver, honestly. All right, let's see what happened in your current in our recent past. What's the recent past energy that led to this? There's definitely something related to emotion and having to balance emotions, and maybe also curiosity and exploration that took place there. What is your current energy? What's happening right now? Okay, you have 2. You have the Knight of Swords and the 2 of Swords. So there's a sense of duality here, bit of duplicity. There's a sense of like maybe wanting to move forward with something really passionately, really strongly, communicate. And then there's also the other part of yourself that holds you back and wants to take time to process because doesn't feel like, maybe this is the right time, maybe some diplomacy is needed, and you kind of go back and forth in 2 minds about how to approach whatever is going on for you right now. We're going to get more information soon. All right, let's see, what is the challenge? What is the challenging aspect of your current experience? The Three of Cups. Okay, so it may be challenging to share of yourself, to share your emotions, your to feel supported, to celebrate life, to feel alive. Okay, but I think it's connected to friendships and connection, and maybe that's feeling really challenging right now. What is the advice for pile number 2 here? Seven of Cups as advice. And yeah, future energy. Where is this taking you? I saw something, but it didn't come out. Page of Swords. It's future energy. And bottom of the deck, you have the Seven of Wands. This was the current energy for pile number 1. Interesting. Okay. So this is the underlying energy, is the overall process that it's kind of happening on the background, right? And this is just giving us information of more than just right now or past. It kind of like glues it together. And this overall process is to learn to communicate your needs, to stand up for yourself, to learn to understand what is important for you really, what matters to you, when is maybe suitable or makes sense to react in a certain way when it doesn't, and yeah, what action should come out of from you, where to put your energy into action based on something that holds true to you, comes from your true belief system. And this belief system can be challenged right now, and you are definitely learning a lot about yourself, what's important for you, what isn't, and that can require some sitting with it, sorting it. Because certain things that maybe in the past were important to you are not anymore, and maybe out of habit we may want to be reactive against it, or to hold on to certain habits or actions or people or whatever, but maybe you don't really correspond anymore to who you are right now and your needs in the moment, and you need to do every once in a while this self-assessment and reorganize your value system, right? Yeah. Temperance is your past energy. Right, with that, before going too deep into it, I want to pull out also the oracle cards. Let's see what archetype shows up for you here. What is the archetype that is influencing you at this time? It is the shaman. Okay. The other reading had the healer. A lot of mystical energy here. Right. Let's see what's a spirit message for you that can help you in this situation. What you need to pay attention to. That wanted to come out. The gateway. Yes, these two are talking to me a lot about your current situation right now. The Two of Swords with this gateway. And interestingly enough, she's blindfolded here, and there's an eye at the center of this maze. Alright, and now the last oracle card from Rumi. Sacred Convergence. Very interesting, deeply connected with your challenge here. Being able to maybe connect with groups of people or just people. Yeah. Right, so temperance in the past. I think that maybe you've gone out there a little bit. You've put yourself out there and start exploring maybe parts of yourself, maybe how you feel in certain situation. You know, this angel here has this stethoscope here that looks like this, gives it the point of like scientist, you know, and has a foot on the ground, a foot in the water, and it's like kind of putting things from water or whatever that is from one cup to another. And it's giving us this feeling of like, okay, this character here, this angel is trying out things. You're trying things, you take a step, you back, and you look what does it look like. You cook a meal, you experiment a little bit with it, and you put maybe different ingredients and then taste a little bit and see how it is before you just move forward full on. You know, it's temperance, but it's also an alchemist, the energy of the alchemist, where it requires curiosity, it requires experiment, and it requires knowing when to step back and not to go full on, because otherwise you wouldn't learn anything from these experiments, right? So whatever you've experimented with here, maybe with your emotions, because this is an emotional experience, maybe you shared of yourself more than you used to, or maybe you've put yourself in a vulnerable position, maybe you shared your feelings for somebody, and or you want to. There's also this fire at the heart, so there's like a feeling of passion being involved in here. Yeah. You may have been also called to really temper yourself. Maybe you wanted to share all these feelings and all this, but you couldn't. You had to hold yourself back. Temper. And now you find yourself, whatever had happened there, whether you were able to share about your feelings, about your passions, or maybe you tried it out and you didn't receive what you expected back, or you're still waiting to see the result of that. You're taking that step back and say, okay, I've said what I had to say, now I'm waiting for the reaction to that. Or whether you haven't, you had been felt the need to temper your feelings and to not share them, to just act from this restrained place. But you seem to be still caught, or right now really feel this drive of speaking or talking, of sharing the truth, whether it's from your internal experience or what you think about what things should be, from an intellectual place, from an idealized idea place. But you also feel like, maybe whether you've tried things and you got burned here, or whether you holding something back, it's the emotional realm that's being held back. You're kind of turning your back to your emotions, to your intuition, and kind of closing here. And you're fluctuating between these two, maybe like sometimes wanting to explode everything out there with a lot of energy, and then with this like no, I'm not gonna share anything, I'm not gonna speak up, I'm not gonna tell about what my needs are, or what I think that it's valuable for me, or it's worth defending. These two are swords energy, so it's a lot about communication. It's a lot about what you think about the situation. And your mind may be scurrying and going back and forth between maybe over censoring yourself or over sharing about your thoughts, ideas, emotions, and so on and so forth. But I think this is not emotions. No, emotions are pretty much okay, held back, hidden. You tried, you didn't try, whatever. It's just like your mind kind of wanting to take over. Maybe you're going even through a process of intellectualizing your experience rather than feeling your emotions, because it's intense and because emotions. And it could be more than just emotions, because water, and I see the shaman here, water can talk about not just the emotional realm, but also the realm of intuition, the realm of dreams, and subconscious and the unconscious. The fuzzier parts that are not so clear and concrete as ideas about how things should be, or the physical hard reality. And yeah, challenge is like, okay, well, you obviously not sure how to communicate, how to share of yourself, what do you feel and what you want to put out there. You are tend to, as I said, censor yourself too much, or just outpour everything, and this could affect your relationships, of course. And having healthy, steady, mindful relationship is very important. And feeling supported, being able to support others, and also this feeling of celebration or enjoying life. It doesn't come so easy, because you may be really stuck in your mind right now. And what comes as advice is this Seven of Cups, which basically says, take just the same way that here you take stock of your belief system and maybe recalibrate your value system. Here you start and take stock of your emotional baggage. What emotions are you really experiencing? Instead of turning your back against them, it's like, all right, let's sit with it. I don't know, it's the meditation, or maybe practices such as EFT, emotional freedom technique, tapping, or whatever helps you navigate the experience, and maybe feeling emotions at the body level, because this is 7 actually talks of the physical realm, but the cups talk about emotions. And also hopes and dreams. What do you hope for? What would you like to experience more of? What you would like to experience less of? What truly matters for you, but and also in a way of like, okay, what will make me feel good? And not just like this super quick pleasure mode of the mammalian brain. Okay, food makes me feel good, or sex makes me feel good, or blah blah blah. It's more about, okay, what feels fulfilling for me. And this is taking you to this Page of Swords, which is, you see, like this page is looking backwards, but his body is facing forward. And I think it's finding a level of clarity and a balance between going back and forth between these two. Like, okay, looking at what's important from the back, but also remembering to integrate that and add it into the future. Whatever happened into the past, you can learn from that experience, learn from what you felt, and learn to communicate differently, act differently, adjust. It's a growth process, and this is a page. It's a maturing process. It again very closely connected to communication. What needs to be said? Can you express yourself? How can you access your emotions and express them? How can you express your value system without maybe overly triggering other people? Because the Knight of Swords can be a little bit blunt and maybe not very mindful in communication. Yeah, it talks of truth and what's important to him, but it's not sensitive at all. Maybe you're incorporating new ways of communication, that non-violent communication, or being more sensitive about your own needs and emotion and other people's as well. And this is the process here. I will read Shaman for you. It is also possible that you've experienced quite a bit of out there experiences, and it's hard to integrate it and talk about them and maybe sometimes it's so easy to jump to conclusions, but we may need so long to truly understand what happened and why, and yeah, what does it mean? So the shaman, can you read this? Hope so. Is the Magi, the sorcerers, the medicine woman. 3 archetypal ingredients constitute the shaman, and all must be present in order to reveal its magic. First, the shaman is activated by long-standing and diligent study, the mentor. This also talks about studying. Maybe you're studying literally something around communicating emotion or nonviolent communication or something. Second is orientation. Second is orientation is generously and accurately aimed towards the healing of the self, the other, and the culture. The healer archetype. This one also showed up in the previous reading. Maybe you feel the call to go back to that one too. Maybe there's a message there for you. And third, the shaman has a knack for finding doorways to the other world, allowing psychic visions and old magic to leak into this world, the unseen. And this is what I was also talking a little bit about, the other world, all this water here that you've actually seemed to tend to turn your back towards because, yeah, maybe you don't know what to make of it. Anyway, in this way, the shaman is a master who bridges everyday and the sacred, revealing potent power needed desperately in our time. Yet where there is power, there is shadow. So the shaman must be vigilant in studying their darkness. This card reminds us that the force of healing is ultimately not our own. We must shape it and share it with the world. When light, fearless student and practitioner, and when dark, overpromises, blames, hurts self and the others. If you want to go deeper, you can read The Black Elk Speaks and Michael Turker's Dreaming with Eyes Open. So the shaman can't be rushed. Working with this archetype requires study and perseverance. Think of it like bringing or marinating. The content must permeate every fiber of its being. And contrary to popular belief, the shaman archetype appears in every vocation. Teachers, directors, surgeons, politicians, and poets are just a few of the faces a shaman may wear. So it's not necessarily got to be the typical tribe-like shaman. Right, and the gateway, which I told you, it's connected a little bit to this Two of Swords energy. Where are you? Here. The gateway. We begin all journeys by crossing through a gateway or threshold and setting our feet upon a path. The gateway at the crossroads, where 2 or more roads meet, is a place of choice and possibility. You could meet almost anyone or anything there if you know how to look for them. The amazing thing about crossroads is that while they have long been held to be places of magic, they seem ordinary to most people. It requires seeing with more than just our eyes to fully experience and encounter those who may gather there. See, this also is generally seen as the crossroads energy and somebody who's seeing with more than the eyes. She has her eyes covered. Crossroads may seem like simple intersections, but they are often labyrinths in nature, confusing, full of twists and turns, and not always with more than one way out. I think that's an important message, because sometimes we think that it's like this way or the highway, but it may be not so rigid. So, messages from this spirit. Sometimes we must lose our way in order to truly orient ourselves to our surroundings and find ourselves. We may also discover that our path overlaps and cross in surprising ways with others who bring illumination into our lives. See, that's just like there is an overlapping here with others. It can feel a little bit challenging at times, but it's okay, we can learn from this. It may help to let ourselves begin again. Often we let the idea of what we want to see override what we need to see. Oh, that's a good one, and it's also very connected to the energy of this card. Sometimes this could also mean like wanting to close our eyes to what is there because of our, I don't know, our biases and so on and so forth. So often we let the idea of what we want to see override what we need to see. Only when we get lost does the veil fall from our eyes. Change your perspective or question in order to receive the wisdom you seek. The gateway may have a keeper. Sometimes this is fear within ourselves holding us back, which we need to banish in order to pass through. Other times it's the doctrines and ideas of others that we let overshadow what we know to be true. It is you who holds the key, not others. Outside of these mental and emotional states, the keeper is sometimes a metaphysical protector we must acknowledge and sometimes make an offering or to pay a toll to in order to move ahead. You must determine which it is and decide when it's to be sacrificed or exchanged. Good luck with that. And the sacred convergence here, number 11. I love this poem from Rumi. It says, oh, calm down. Roaming about town, the master was holding a light, saying, I am weary of the demons and the beasts. A human is what I'm longing for. The human cannot be found. We have searched. What cannot be found is what I'm longing for. Although poor and needy, I will not accept small pieces of ruby. The mine of the finest rubies is what I'm longing for. One hand holding a cup of wine, and the other the curls of the beloved. A dance like this in the middle of the circle is what I am longing for. Rumi. And you see, this is why it may feel really hard to connect right now, because maybe you meet all kinds of people that challenge your belief system in so many different ways, and you're longing for a deeper, more authentic, more real connection. So, sacred convergence indicates a coming together of souls in alignment with greater cause. This greater cause is both personal and impersonal. There is an aspect of joining together for common purpose, although that purpose may not immediately be obvious at a level of day-to-day consciousness. That common soul purpose may be to lift each other into greater love and self-belief, to shed fear and open the heart, filling each individual soul with more holy fire for its personal passionate purpose. You may have a sense when this process is happening. There will be a coming together of you with like-minded souls who hail from all walks of life, and yet together, through some invisible genius, you will help each other. You may simply be dancing in the same room, or singing in a group, attending a class or a workshop, or just visiting the same beach or parkland. But at that moment, there will be a sense of something coherent and nourishing happening at a far greater level. So I guess this is also a encouragement to join support groups or workshops or something where you can, not necessarily by having to talk to these people, but having this goal of working on themselves or yourselves and meeting yourselves where you're at and being present with your emotions could at some level help all of you. This oracle has come to you because you are part of a greater sacred convergence happening now. Perhaps you have already sensed its progression, or perhaps it is not yet obvious to you. But the effect, whether obvious or subtle, will be important to your soul development and divine awakening. You are being asked to drop defenses and barriers towards groups of people that feel good for you. Again, feel into what you feel. Do not hold your emotion back, because your emotion are informing you about what feels good and what. And you will have to process your belief system and your thoughts through that, but it's important to feel. Okay. However, Those that dampen your spirits or drag you down are to be dispensed with, no matter what games of blame or manipulation they may play to keep you coming back for more. No, that shall not do for your soul growth right now. Just step away. Turn towards those connections that feel nourishing to your soul and learn to share yourself without fear. Just be. You do not have to force the planets to spin, not the great cycles of the soul to happen. All that is required is that you show up for what is offered to you now. Do your part. Take your steps. Dance, sing, and be, and allow the gifts of sacred connection to change your world. For this is the spiritual gift presented to you now. This oracle comes with a special message. Perhaps you have been thinking about shedding lower vibrational connections based in the ego world of power games, sabotage, manipulation, and fear. Perhaps you have already begun this process. This is why the shield is up here, right? Defense. So perhaps you have already begun this process, or even shed so many you are fearing you may have over-pruned to be left with nothing and no one. This is challenging, right? You may feel really lonely, and you may feel that groups of people haven't been, easy for you. And if you keep standing up for yourself, you're gonna end up fully alone. But do not fear, my dear. Your truth is prevailing. You cannot stay in a vibration of fear if you want to dwell in a vibration of love. Whilst you learn to sustain that vibration within you until it cannot be rattled by any crisis or demand, you are wise to place yourself in more nourishing connections. If you want a plant to grow, why not give it the best soil and conditions in which to do so? Blah, 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 blah. This oracle comes to you with guidance that the possibility for more joyful connections and relationships and growth of love within you is in your power. You can choose each day, each moment. You can just make a choice. Trust yourself, your discernment, and your intuition, and choose. Do not owe anyone anything. Repeat this law of karma. You only owe love the chance to grow. So let that be your guiding principle now as you release the old and trust that even if your garden of relationship becomes sparse for a while, you have been cutting back unhealthy plants to allow for new life to flourish. It is only a matter of timing for the season of new life and growth to come again. And so it shall, bringing with it sacred convergence of souls on the path of love, your soul tribe, your soul family, your new tribe of those journeying upon the path of love. So yes, relationship may be difficult right now, but being able to stand up for yourself, being able to communicate your needs, being able to know what needs to be communicated and what doesn't need to be communicated, because sometimes we also need to sit with ourselves a little bit and see what matters to us, what's really important, what feelings are coming from maybe me holding on a particular emotional baggage that maybe somebody triggers without them having necessarily done or known everything, and what is something that really somebody's crossing a boundary and I need to do something about it, that kind of stuff. And it's taking you somewhere. It just takes a little bit of time. It's a process. All right, my dear, pile number 2, this was your reading. I hope it was helpful for you, giving you some type of insight and feedback. And if it's so, please like, share, subscribe. Feel free to comment, share whatever you feel like. And yeah, I hope to see you soon here. Take care. So, for those of you that chose the rose quartz, this is your reading. I usually associate rose quartz with a really gentle energy, very light and beautiful energy. So let's see what you're reading, what you need to hear right now. Pile number 3. We're gonna look now at your recent past, and we're gonna check out the current energy, challenge, advice, and future. So let's do that. What happened in the recent past that is relevant for pile number 2 right now? The Queen of Wands with the Hermit. All right. We'll go into that later. Let's see what is the current energy. What's happening right now for pile number 3. The Ace of Cups. Ooh la la. Let's see what is the challenge for you right now, pile number 3. Challenging challenge. The 5 of Wands, conflicts and stuff. What is the advice? What can help you right now? 2 of Cups, beautiful. And what is the future energy? Where is this taking you? What are you learning from this? What are you integrating from this experience? Queen of Pentacles. So we got 2 queens here. Interesting. Let's see what's bottom of the deck. Tam 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 tam. The drums. 3 of Swords. So the underlying energy, 3 of Swords is the underlying energy. It's an overall process that's happening for you. It's kind of in the background. So you may be going through a process of healing your broken heart, or just integrating a set of emotions that felt challenging in the past, and yeah, well, brought a lot of pain and confusion, and you're processing and integrating that so that you can move forward from there. Don't fear, this is not something that's coming. This is in the background. So this has pretty much happened already, whatever brought you this type of pain. And before we go into that, wait, I want to pull out also the oracle cards. What archetype shows up right now that is relevant to you, pile number 3? What archetype? The Eros. All right. Huh. That's an interesting one. And what is a spirit message that can help you right now? What spirit guide is showing up for you right now? Rue, if that's how you read this. And a last message from the Rumi Oracle. Passion for purpose, number 2. All right. Lots of passion. This seems to have to do a lot with love, with relationships. I usually try to not read them as relationship readings, as love readings, but this seems to be connected a lot with that, because you have the Ace of Cups here, you have the 2 of Cups, you have the Eros here, and a very suggestive picture there, and you also have this passion for purpose. Passion for purpose is not usually connected to relationships particularly, but it does, in this case, I feel it's connected to this number 2, sexual energy, creativity, passion in that sense. So what happened in the recent past? Maybe you've been single for a while. Maybe you've been, really coming to terms with yourself. What are your values? What do you care about? What are, going through an empowering process that happened in solitude mainly. Not necessarily up on the top of the mountain, but more in a process that took place within yourself. And where you were interested to bring the light of investigation in darker aspects of yourself, and maybe you've done a lot of shadow work and integration work, and that brings you this feeling of, okay, here I am feeling okay with myself. I can accept my shadow aspects and integrate them, and I can also accept my bright aspects and my what makes me shine, you know, and not hold yourself back. The Queen of Wands is very powerful, she's very passionate, she's very sexual and sexy and flirty. And I think this could be also really a process that where, as you've been integrating a past breakup or a past pain of sorts, a loss of some sorts, you're recovering from this and you're getting into this place of like, hey, I am here, I am powerful, I am feeling alive again, and you maybe want to express yourself as a sexual being, you know. Yeah. And with the Ace of Cups in the present moment, it's like maybe you feel also your heart opening after quite a while where you've been in pain, and again, maybe incorporating or healing after a breakup or a loss of something that really made you feel like a bit heartbroken. Could be also not necessarily relationship, can be also the loss of a friendship or a family member, or a broken communication with somebody you cared about. But you know, something that really maybe dampened your confidence a little bit, and now you're you know, recently after the work you've done and being brave enough to really be with yourself from this investigative place rather from this avoidant place, and there you go, you are opening your heart again, and you are maybe willing to share more of yourself again, and to experience your creativity and your sexuality again. This is it's full of sexuality, this energy. Pile number 3 may be very horny now. But no, it's about to. It's not about that. It's not about being horny. It's about being able to really embody this energy, and it's not about trying to just act out of it in a unconscious way. You know, it's really reclaiming your sexuality for yourself, and being able to integrate yourself as whatever else you are out into the world, as your profession, as your gender, as your whatever identities you may play with or exhibit, to think of yourself as a sexual being, and not have any no shame around it, because there's nothing to be shamed about. But yeah, of course, it's a taboo in society. It's always taken in so many different ways, and this is where your challenge is. You may feel challenged in this way. Maybe people are, so you start seeing this glow around you, and maybe you're feeling asking you uncomfortable questions, and maybe telling you what you should or shouldn't do, or just, you know, being a little bit petty sometimes. And yeah, it's happens. It can happen when we are going through a deep transformative process, and we are coming out again. People can be a little bit confused about who is this new person that's emerging, and maybe out of real concern, they could be just not care about us, but they are thinking of their own limitations. And you may find it challenging also within yourself. Okay, how am I gonna express all this? I have this opening, I have this glow right now. I want to experience life in new ways. How am I gonna go out there and try to put that energy out there and see that it's not always so well received? And are you gonna go back into feeling, I don't know, maybe not accepted, not seen, not maybe rejected? Or are you just going to keep yourself in this empowered place and keep some things for yourself that maybe you can see in this? You don't have to constantly answer to these challenges. You can understand that some people just come from their own limitations, and then just let them be. Okay, you shared what you had to share, thank you. I don't need you to go forward with that. You don't always need to share where you truly at. Maybe pick your fights as well. Where does it make sense to have a response and to really stand up for yourself, where maybe it doesn't really worth the effort. But this is also putting yourself out there. This is like, okay, it can be seen as challenges, fights, petty arguments and things like this, but you can also see like, okay, look at these kids here are playing as if they're training for competition, or for like, okay, yeah, whatever. These are very makes me think of all these like old kingdoms. Maybe they're the kids learning how to be knights later on, or so on and so forth. And yeah, you may have gone through all this process, but you may still find it somewhat challenging to truly put yourself out there in this new format and express these integrated parts of yourself. And as advice, you have the Two of Cups. I think your advice is to just be as genuine as you can, knowing that, you see, like, you have the Ace of Cups here and the Two of Cups here. You have your cup full already based on the inner work that you've done. You found your inner power, you found your ways to validate yourself. You're not looking for somebody else's validation. You're not looking for somebody else to complete you. You are who you are on your own as a standing, independent person, being. And when you are communing with somebody else, you can commune from this place of power, not from the place of need, not from the place of like, hey, my cup is empty, give me something here, I'm starving or dying of thirst. But rather, okay, this is what I have in my cup, this is where I am, this is who are you, let's maybe taste, exchange, but having that balanced exchange, And for that, you need to stand in who you are, not to, edit yourself so that everybody accepts you. Not everybody needs to approve of you. Not everybody needs to like you. It's okay. Not to mean that you have to be rude, or you have to cross on people's feet, or you have to make a show of yourself everywhere you go, but not to have to constantly edit yourself. And when you choose to not necessarily make a show of what you believe in, everything, to do so not by feeling like you have to suppress yourself or make yourself small, just by choosing that I don't want to engage in this. It's okay. That does not diminish in any way who I am. I just don't want to engage into this conflict, fight, argument, whatever. And where this is all taking you is this place of true gentleness with yourself, being able to self-care, being able to be dependable for yourself, to know when, to have a good routine for yourself, or respect your own boundaries, be patient with yourself, understanding that everything goes in cycles, and cycles of the earth, cycles of nature, and maybe be more confident that you can take care of yourself in a relation with others, in conflicts, and also when you're alone, to truly connect with yourself deeper in something that you can, it's really practical. Okay, I want to read these cards. Tum 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 tum. Oh, X. Where are you? So, let's see what's with Eros. Hope this focuses. So, love as desire, eroticism, sensuality. Through Eros can be depicted as unbridled sexuality and eroticism. A more contemplative understanding of this archetypal energy leads us to the root of desire itself. What do we long for? What are we awakened by love? Why are we awakened by love? What makes us hesitate in the face of intimacy? Eros reconnects us with the primal longing to merge with another human being, nature, music, art, plants, food, or anything that we perceive we are separate from. Eros allows us to momentarily unite. Our heart embraces otherness, and in doing so we further understand our own. Our life force awakens. This card reveals an inevitable initiation into love's labyrinth. You may find yourself swirling in a new territory of desire and sensuality. Explore the labyrinth with a curious and honest heart, and remember, though the way is circuitous, you are always being led towards its center. So when this energy is in a light, when we're embracing it, there's passion, playfulness, and sexual health. And when dark, there's madness, projection, and obsession. Plato reminds us that Eros can be experienced as a platonic love. It is activated when we witness beauty and truth in the world, when our barriers soften. This is somebody with soften barriers, like you don't need to come with a shield up, because you feel safe within yourself, because you're learning through this process to take care of yourself, to understand your own needs, your boundaries, but also that you're not an island. It's one thing to be codependent, another thing to grow through interdependence. We are not islands, we are depending on each other on a daily basis. So having crazy thoughts of extreme independence is not really working either, right? I don't even know how I got there, sorry. So the Hindu goddess Lalita, she who plays, can help activate Eros energy. She is also known as Kameshvari, Empress of Desire. Desire. Lots of it. Let's see what's this one saying. Just cast it. So, Ru, or Ruta graveolens, has a long-standing reputation as a herb capable of reversing or breaking spells that are manipulative or harmful. It is used to banish negative energy, to aid in protection or for purification, and for consecration or for ritual tools and other objects. I should get myself some. In the card, we can see the shape of the Cimaruta, Italian for sprig of rue, and a symbolic charm against the evil eye. The plant itself should be handled with caution to avoid skin irritation. This and its bitter flavor may explain its link to the verb rue and its connection with regret. Perhaps because if you don't respect the plant or those who use it, regret will find you. Messages. A little charm can go a long way. A smile, a kind word, or a gesture, or a token of thanks can have a great influence. Shields up, take heed to protect yourself as negative intent is afoot. Huh? Okay, that's a little bit contradictory with the rest. But maybe here, you need to also learn to protect yourself. If somebody's going to come to hit you with a staff in your head, you shouldn't just like be, oh yeah, I'm all soft and kind. You should still be able to protect yourself. Yeah, there's challenges happening around you, and keep your staff about you. If you're feeling continually cursed, you may need to face the bitter truth that you are responsible for this trend, not others. Time to do a cleansing ritual to undo the web you've got yourself in. I personally find this message a little bit harsh. If you feel you resonate with it, feel free. Take it as you will. But I personally find this a little bit like, it's okay that to think about, okay, there I can see that there's a pattern that keeps happening, or I feel cursed in some way, so I can maybe do some cleansing rituals, and also maybe look into my own patterns and why am I maybe reacting in certain ways, and maybe I can change something, whatever. But this is a little bit too harsh in my opinion. Let's see the passion for purpose. As I said in this book, the passion for purpose, this card is much more connected to purpose and to creativity. And this whole thing can be read into the, okay, if it's not like in the Eros, it's this creative energy. The sexual energy is life force energy and creative energy. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily need to be sent into a partner, a romantic partner. It doesn't need to be. Is not only a way to express it. It can be expressed also through a passion for project of creative nature. So passion for purpose, love like life flows through the heart. Feel the thrill of the flow and say nothing. Okay, and I'm gonna read through, not gonna read all of this because it's a lot. So as we grow on the spiritual path, so too does our ability to serve life, to serve love, to honor humanity, and to offer a contribution that is unique to us, that could only flow in a particular way through the quality of your own soul light. Every light holds its own beauty, and every light has a particular task to fulfill on the divine path of life. And I have the feeling you found already, if not fully your light, you've incorporated quite some, that you've reached this place of flowering. Where we get into difficulty is not in bringing our genuine passions to life, for life supports this, but in learning to let go of attachment as to how that happens. Whether that's the passion of sexuality or of creativity, the way that we sometimes can have, like, of course, some thoughts about how things should be. We need to learn to let go of those expectations and be open. So we can struggle to free ourselves of the expectation we have to be something we are not. The divine path of love asks us to become conscious of and then unlearn the play acting of attempting to be a false self, so that we may learn to simply love and accept our real self. That's a long story, I'm not even going to go into that. We may even have a struggle on our hands to remember who our real self actually is for a time. Fortunately, there is pleasure in the journey of returning to passion that can make the process of self-discovery a sweet one. I like that. There is pleasure in the journey of returning to passion that can make the process of self-discovery a sweet one. But we must be brave. Even the sweetness of that journey back to the real self, we must dare to believe that we are not broken, that we are not inadequate or better off to be like some other person or some other's person view of how they think we should be. We must be brave enough to believe in the layers, to not believe in the layers of guilt and shame. We must be bold enough to not fear our passion as we dive deep within and explore what really makes us tick, what makes us feel alive. We must be open, curious, and non-judgmental. That may be a subtle journey at first. We may feel as though we are looking in the dark, wondering if we will ever catch a glimpse of the light of passion and meaning we hope to find. This oracle comes with guidance. You are being initiated more deeply into your life purpose. Your passion will reveal itself to you with more depth, nuance, and beauty than ever before. If parts of your life are disassembling or do not seem to be working out as you had planned, these are symptoms of this passionate revelation. Be curious and open to what presents itself in the wake of the falling away. Be ready for the journey within now. You are strong enough to leave behind the need for external validation, whilst you learn to validate yourself. I think you've already had a taste of this. Now it's a matter of bringing this out into the world. When you're in solitude, you know, there is a saying that what was it? Something like, I don't remember exactly the saying, but you can be enlightened in a monastery or on a top of a mountain, but spend a weekend with your family and you might lose all that enlightenment. So that's the thing, like you've discovered a lot about yourself and your own power and your sexuality and your passions and so that. But now it's you're bringing it into the world. You may face challenges, you may face lots of people that maybe are a little bit about all this part of yourself that are showing up. You're challenged to not go back to that sulking and pain, but to keep this going. So keep validating yourself. In time, soon enough, in fact, it shall reveal your innermost beauty and be witnessed and received, acknowledged for your innate value, purpose, and divinity. But for now, sweet beloved, dive deep, be defined and determined to honor your heart, so your deep passion may be witnessed by you and eventually, naturally, make its way into sacred expression into the world. If you have recently discovered a new talent or purpose, or have been dreaming some big dreams, this oracle comes to you with guidance and confirmation. You are excited. Follow that excitement. Let it lead you into your own heart truth and onto an ever more passionate path for purposeful living. And maybe purposeful relationships as well, of all kinds. Alright, my dear one, I hope that this reading talked to you, that you could find some insight in it and validation if this is what you need right now, confirmation of any sort, maybe even guidance. And yeah, if it helped you in any way, please like, share, subscribe, comment, share with me and the others in the way it resonated with you. And yeah, I hope to see you here again. I'm making this mistake every time. I hope to see you back here again soon. Take care.